the funny disaster stories. One that like stands out to me that happened recently. We had just finished up for the night and I came down to play video games with Saul and some friends. And then I saw like literally like I was like downloading the update right before the update happened. I saw that Ollie was moving on the monitor, and so I went up to be with Ollie, and he was like basically like I don't know how, but he was like basically wide awake. And so I was just laying there with him, and then he said he needed some water, and I was like, okay. So a lot of times like I'll give him water, and like I'll give him water, and then he'll just fall asleep. Like he was just like he woke up super thirsty for some reason, and then he just like passes out. So I went to give him water, and then but I didn't have like his cup, which I normally do. I just had like my bottle. So I gave him my bottle, and I was like helping him, but he like yanked it out of my hand and poured it all over himself in the bed. So it like the bed was soaked, he was soaked. So I took all his clothes off and changed his diaper, and I like moved him to like a different part of the bed and was just like, I guess you're sleeping in your diaper tonight because I don't want to like wake you up more by like going like having to leave you here to go get clothes and come back. So then I'm like getting him to sleep, like he's starting to drift off, like he's almost asleep, and then Sam like busts open the door and like kicks me in the foot. And she's like, you need to come out now. I don't care what you're doing with Ollie, like you need to help me. So I come out, and she had made a bottle. She had made like a formula bottle for Kai, and then went to give it to him. And this was like literally like this must have been within the same 5 minutes. She went to give it to him, and she didn't tighten the lid, and the lid popped off, and she dumped it everywhere. So he was like almost passed out, and now like it's like probably 11. So I've been in there with Ollie for like an hour, and at that point, Ollie's wide awake and like comes out with me in his diaper, and Kai's wide awake because he had formula dumped all over him. So we had to like clean up the couch, like the not the couch. We had to clean up the chair and then like clean Kai, and Sam was like all full of milk. So we were up with them because they were both at that point they were both wide awake. We were up with them until probably like like maybe 1:30. To be fair, there was like a blessing in disguise in that because after we changed all his clothes, we were like, okay, well, like you can stay out here because he didn't want to go back out. We was like, you can stay out here, but everything's sleeping. Like all of the technology's sleeping, all of your toys are sleeping. The only thing we can do is lay here on the couch. And yeah, it's really boring. Like nighttime is really boring. That's why we put you to sleep when you're tired because there's nothing else to do. And so since then, like if he wakes up in the middle of the night, like he doesn't like he's literally wakes up, he can't find his pacifier or whatever, but like he doesn't wake up because he wants to go out and like have more fun because like now in his brain he's like nighttime is super boring. So like why would I want to go out there? Like I'll just wait until morning, and like if I wake up I'll ask if it's like early enough, but other than that he's like I'm good, like I don't want to go out. So I think like even though it was like a really rough night, it was a blessing in disguise because yeah, now he doesn't care about going outside at night. So that was a pretty slick move on our part, I feel like, to turn that lemon into lemonade. We haven't had that many like disaster moments recently. Maybe it's because like COVID, so we stay in all the time. And so most of the things like we're able to manage really well before they become a disaster. Nothing's like fallen on Kai, and like Ollie hasn't tried to like jump through a window or anything. I don't know. I don't know. All of our disaster moments seem like they happen at night, right before bed, or like during bedtime. It's never like during the day when we're all like sane and awake. But the other night, I was getting Ollie ready for bed as I do because that's normally like Sam takes care of Kai and I take care of Ollie at night, and then I wake up earlier because that's like Kai sleeps in later than Ollie, but she's up more with Kai at night. But so I was getting Ollie ready for bed, and our routine is usually like we have dinner, and then while he's still in his chair, like I after he's done eating, I floss his teeth and brush his teeth, and then we change his diaper, we change his clothes, and then we get in bed. So I had finished brushing his teeth, and we went into the room, and I put him on the bed to like change his clothes, and then I just like opened the bathroom to put his toothbrush in the bathroom, and like as I did that he had gotten up to open the door. And we used to have like a child like a child lock thing on the door so he couldn't get out by himself. And I can't remember why Sam took it off. I think it was because my parents were there. And so it was like if he went out without us, like he would normally go to their room, and maybe we like I think one night we were like we'll just like stay in bed, and my parents said they'd take him as soon as he woke up, so we'd be like, Ollie, just go get your grandparents and we just stay in the room. I can't remember. But anyways, the it was off, so he opened the door and I was like, "No, we're not going out there." And like I remember I went towards the door and he just had it like cracked open, like he had it like a eighth of the way open, and he had his hand on the doorknob and his other hand on the wall, and I was like, great, like I can close it. He's not gonna hurt his hands. I'm not gonna slam any fingers. So as I was closing it, he uses his like momentum with the handle to like try to jet through the door, and hits himself straight in the head, and like he like hit himself in the head and fell back. And I was like, oh man, like he always bonks his head at night, and normally it's like not a big deal, but like as I was going to pick him up, I saw that the lump was like it was like out to here already, and it was like a centralized like grape sized ball. And I started like freaking out. Like my adrenaline was going so hardcore. I was like, oh my God, are we going to have to take him to the hospital? Like, how bad did he hit his head? Like, what are the possibilities? Like, what do we have to do? And so we were like freaking out, freaking out. I brought him out because he was like hysterically crying. And normally, like, he hits his head and he cries for a little bit and he's fine. But like, it must have like really, really hurt him. And so I brought him out. Like, Sam starts freaking out with me, but like, she's like way more calm than I am at that point. So like, she's like, it's okay. Like, I was like, do we have to take him? Like, what do we do? And like, my first thought was like, ice it. So like, I went to get ice while she was calling her cousin Andrea, and who's a doctor. And like, we're so grateful. We're so grateful that we have her whenever she's available to ask her questions. Like, she's so amazing. So we called her and she kind of gave us a list of like, these are the things to look out for. Keep him awake for at least 2 hours to make sure he like his pupils are dilating fine, and that you don't see any like signs of concussion, and that he's not like passing out or going into like a seizure or anything like that, before you try to put him back to sleep or anything. So we kept him up. We gave him some Tylenol. Like, we were icing it, and luckily we had just for the first time watched the first Ice Age with him. And so like then we put on the one with like the dinosaurs because he's obsessed with dinosaurs, and we like held the ice and like changed it out for like 2 hours almost continuously, and started to go down, and like the swelling like spread instead of like it didn't get as bad like outward, and it got a lot better, and it was there for like 4 or 5 days. But that was the first like major time he had hurt himself since maybe 6 months old. And that one, like the 6 month old one, wasn't that bad. Yeah, dude, it was like it was like a unicorn horn like right here. So when he was like the only other really really bad thing he's had happen to him is when he was 6 months old. We were like getting ready to go somewhere, and he was crawling around a bit at that point, and he crawled over to a dryer that I had just moved. Like I'd moved it out of the dry room, and it was like kind of in the living room. So he crawled over to that, and like he went to grab the metal outlet thing that you would put the tube in so that the like it vents outside, and he like cut his finger. Like he like just sliced it open, and it was bleeding everywhere. So we were freaking out, and like he had just started to like be really tactile with his hands. So it was like it was weird though, because it like he didn't cry, like it didn't hurt him at all. And like we were freaking out, and it was just like there's just like blood everywhere. We were able to get a band-aid on it, but he kept like looking at it and trying to eat it and take it off. And so we put the band-aid on it, and then we put a glove on, and then we like strapped or like velcroed the glove like on so that he couldn't get it off. And it kind of freaked us out because he didn't care. Like he had like sliced his finger open, and he didn't care at all. Other than the fact that he couldn't use his hand. Kai hasn't had anything yet. Sam's back, so I'm gonna switch over. We were just talking about all of the traumatic moments that Ollie's had. Like just like thinking about the crazy stuff.
Oh my goodness. Don't I know that? Oh. Yeah, our parenting journey has been super.
I was telling them about the story, but I wasn't there for it.
What story?
The one where he fell in a ditch. So I told him about him getting the cut on his finger from the laundry thing. and then obviously the bump, and then the
Oh, that was
disaster
a
stories, right?
sad
And then I
one.
told them about the one where like just the other night I dumped water all over Ollie and you dumped milk all over Kai like at the exact same time.
Did. They were
And
up for hours after that, and they were naked. Yeah. Oh, that was a sad one. We were living at our other house, and we lived right next to this, like, oh my God. It was like like our side lot was a little bit slanted. It wasn't
Mhm.
straight. And then
The
um
ditch with that.
there was like a water drain ditch, but it was like
Like I told him all the setting, like the
covered
setting of it, but like
in
how did it
boulders
happen?
almost. Oh,
Yeah.
so we were out there. It was a really nice day, and we were out there playing in our side lot, and he was walking pretty good. Like he was walking pretty good. And I was sat on the grass, and he was just like toddling about me. And so like we're facing the ditch, right? And he was like walking like next to me, and then he like ran, but I was too slow. I was just too slow in my
He's a
reflexes.
quick
He's a
one.
quick, but like, and even though even though I should have been faster, but I wasn't. And man, he gained momentum with this little toddle run, and he like, it almost felt like a cartoon. He
Mm.
like was walking, and suddenly there was nothing like underneath him, and then he just like somersaulted forward onto the boulders, and I'm surprised he didn't hurt himself a lot more. He had like a cut or something like right
It's weird.
here.
It's weird that him hitting the door made more of a thing than like running into a boulder.
No,
That's what
but
I was
that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
Like,
Like when I when I know he hit something back here, and when he landed, he was already braced. Like that, like that fall, like even though it was really fast, it was enough time for him to like land braced, and so
uh-huh.
he didn't hit his head again.
Hmm.
You know, I mean,
Wow.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
then I brought him in. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, a mess.
Mm.
And and then like 5 minutes later, her neighbor comes up like from the front, and he knocks, and he's like, I saw that tumble. Is he okay? Are you okay? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we're fine, kids. And he was like, oh yeah, happens all the time, or whatever. And I was just like, oh, man,
Which
it's
which
really
was that
sad.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just been hell. It's been hell. Ollie, I guess in his own way, he's adapted to the way of Kai. Like, I know that it makes him really sad that I had to, at least when Kai was a lot younger and like all he did was eat and sleep, that I had to be with Kai constantly. And I know that made him really sad. But I think now that Kai is like on the floor more, Kai's able to adapt more to Ollie, but Ollie's also able to adapt more to Kai.